Hello, and welcome back to You Got This. I'm Garrett, and today we're going to be talking about working on legs, and leg parts and tools, and those kind of things. But because of the topic, I gotta start with a little bit of disclaimer. Unless you absolutely have to, it's probably best not to work on your own leg, unless you happen to be a prosthetist. And even talking to people who are quite literally professional prosthetists, they don't even like to adjust their own legs a lot of the time. So take it with a grain of salt. But that said, in my case, I live 4 hours away from my prosthetist. I'm deep in the mountains, in a small ski town. It's just, I don't have a lot of options. I've got to change feet. So, snowboarding foot, mountain biking, running, hiking, walking, whatever. I'm changing feet. You go to the pool, the beach, whatever, you might want to change feet. You probably don't want to wear your good leg in the salt water or the chlorine, that kind of thing. So there's times where it's justified. So while you probably don't want to do it, if you need to, you want to make sure that you can do it right, do it well, and be safe. So let's get started. First thing first. Allen wrenches. Most legs use 4 millimeter. There's some parts that will be 5 or even 6. I think, let's see, this is the only 6 millimeter bolt I've ever had to work with my legs. And that one I never touch because it doesn't need to be changed. Generally speaking, you're gonna have 4 mil. And these this is a Park tool. It's basically a really popular brand for working on bikes. But I've found this to be one of the best. I have 4 of these kind of scattered all over the house in strategic places, so that if I ever need to make adjustments or swap legs, I don't have to go put my leg back together and hop to or walk wherever to go get one of these. So they're kind of everywhere. Then, because sometimes you'll have 5 millimeter, or like I said, 6 millimeter. We've got this one, also a Park tool that has 4, 5, and 6 all in one. But it's a little heavier, a little bulkier, like you wouldn't want to put it in your pocket. This one you really wouldn't either, but you could. What I've found to be really handy, and this is probably an edge case, this screw right here, this set screw, this is the only tool I have that can get to it, because you see how tight the tolerance is there and the reach. So there's some times where just the length of these comes in really, really handy. And these T ones, you can get a little more leverage as you're turning. So it's really, really great, and I love these. Those are the simple ones. There's also a torque wrench, and this one is a Bike Hand. I'll link to it in the notes. I got it on Amazon. Torque wrenches usually aren't super cheap, and they're really bulky and heavy. And the other thing too that you kind of have to consider sometimes is, while I haven't had issues, every single time I go through airport security, they flag this, they pull it out. It's longer than their allowable limit for the TSA, but because it's related to my leg and it's obvious that I have a fake leg, they always let it go. It just slows you down in security a little bit. So why a torque wrench? Most, I think it's this leg here, most legs will have amounts. So you can't see it, but here it says 15 Newton meters. And I think some of these others also, you gotta kind of look. No, maybe it was these other ones. Specified 9 Newton meters, I think. So it depends, yeah, 9 Newton meters. So when you've got to tighten something precisely, 15 and 9 doesn't sound far apart. But with a torque wrench, let's see here, it's on 15 right now. So if I were to over tighten this, I'm not going to be able to, because the torque wrench right here is going to kind of break. If I And so it lets you know when to stop. And that's huge, because if you over tighten something, you can and will break the screw and potentially the part. And so that's what is the case here, where I over tightened the screw and it's just snapped. I just didn't have my torque wrench handy that day and over tightened it. Not too big of a deal. I think I had to get a replacement part mailed to me, but you just want to be really careful about it. And so a torque wrench is huge if you're going to be messing with your leg at all. So like minor adjustments, I'll use this. And then when I decide it's set and I like where it's at, then I'll bust out my torque wrench and, importantly, Loctite. And Loctite goes on the screw, and when you tighten it, it kind of holds it so the screw won't accidentally come loose. I have had a screw loose on my leg too. And this leg, actually, I was at the beach and it started coming loose while we were out and just hanging out at the beach. Not really even doing much. It just happened to be that because when you're at the beach, you tend to need to take your leg apart and let it dry out. So anytime I'm at the beach, even with a backup leg, I get back from the beach, I disassemble it, I lay it out under a fan or something so all the parts can dry out. I rinse it with fresh water, all that kind of stuff. And so because of that, I had been disassembling and reassembling it on a regular basis every time we went to the beach. And I just got sloppy and lazy and I hadn't tightened it. And so over the course of the day, it got looser and looser. And then I had to walk back to the car with it. And I barely made it. It almost came off right when I got back to the car. And so because of that, Loctite is so important. Like, you don't want to play fast and loose with your leg and not be able to walk because your foot fell off. So all of this stuff, take it seriously. If you've got to make leg adjustments, you've got to, but don't get carried away and don't get sloppy like I was that time. Be really methodical about it every time you do it, and really, really make sure you're tightening it, you're using Loctite and all that stuff. So that said, let's talk about how it actually works if you do need to make adjustments. The first rule is to always use quarter turns. So if you're going to make an adjustment with this, so right now the foot, it's hard to tell, but it's slanted. So like my socket's back a little. So say I want to get this closer to level. I loosen the side screw, barely. I mean, if you could tell, I just barely, that's like a quarter turn. Now, to get it back, that was a half turn. And then I'll do a half turn on the flip side. And so say I do that and I try it on and I want to adjust it a little bit more. You don't want to do like a full turn. You don't want to spin your whole wrench around, because even though it doesn't seem like much, that's a huge, huge difference when you're talking about a leg and a foot. So you want to do quarter turns. So that's another reason like I love this wrench, because it's so obvious when you do a quarter turn. You can see it points from up to sideways. Or you can do a half turn depending on how far you went and once you get to know it. But when you're tweaking it and trying it and putting it on and trying, making adjustments, tweaking it, work in quarter turns. Always work in quarter turns. Now, say you're like me and you change feet a lot and swap them. What you can do once you've got your leg dialed in, you don't want it to be messed up and then have to readjust it every single time. So what you can do is, if you only ever adjust 2 screws that are next to each other, then the other 2 screws on the opposite sides of each of those, they'll stay in position. So you could foot off. And now, because I only loosened this screw and this screw, to put it back together, the other screws haven't changed. You just tighten them and you're done. So because of that, that lets you swap feet without messing up your alignment. And it comes in really, really handy. The key when you're tightening is to go back and forth and tighten evenly. If you over tighten one and then go to tighten the other and it's out of position, what's gonna happen is you're gonna cross thread or otherwise mess up the set screws. So you wanna do it evenly, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, and go back and forth. It's true for anything, but it's especially true with legs. So that makes a big difference. So then there's a few different options. The inverted, let's start here. The inverted pyramid adapter that every foot has is the key. And you'll notice, so 4 millimeters and sometimes 5 and 6 are pretty standard with prosthetics. The inverted pyramid adapter is hugely standard. You'll see it everywhere. And that's how it all goes together because it lets you make adjustments. So if I unscrew all of these, and you'll see that they're kind of hemispherical on the top in addition to the pyramid. And so the pyramids let you slide, let's see here, and you can make adjustments to change your leg. And minor adjustments make a huge difference. So you don't need to adjust it that much. You tighten it, and that lets you change like the side to side and the front to back of your foot. So if you need to wear, like, you know, when I wear my boots, which isn't too often, but it's occasional. My boots have the biggest heel of all my shoes. And so I have to make adjustments so that my foot is in there right. And so I need my heel to go up and my toes to come down. And so to do that, you loosen, in that case, that's a front to back change, right? So you loosen the side just enough. Then, you know, here's my foot and I want to go down like this. That means this needs to come forward and the pyramid adapter is going to push this screw out. So I need to loosen this front screw. Oop. I'm going to exaggerate it here a lot so that it is more visible. You probably wouldn't need to make this big of an adjustment. And again, I'm not torquing it right now because I'm playing around and showing you all of it. So now you can see that the heel's up a little bit and the ball of the foot's down. And you'll see this set screw is out really far because that pyramid has pushed forward as the foot has gone like this. So it's a minor adjustment. If you go between shoes with different rises, like say you've got some 4 millimeter running shoes and you wear boots or something like that. High heels, it's probably too far. You simply can't adjust these that much for high heels. What you can do is get feet that have the adjustment built in so that you can change it right on the foot where it's just a dial. I haven't used them personally. If you watched Dancing with the Stars when Amy Purdy was on there, you'll notice her feet are frequently pointed. I mean, straight up pointed. She's on her toes. That's because the foot she had, she could make that adjustment. Most other feet that don't do that, you just can't get that much range out of them. You can get about maybe 4 vertical millimeters by making the adjustments. And so, let's see, let's get this one back to where it was. So that's how you make those adjustments. That's front to back, or I guess front and back, and then side to side. You can tweak a little bit in that inverted pyramid, really is your key there. And the other is rotation. So that's what changes whether your toes are pointed in or out or straight. And for me, that's been one of the most tricky ones to get. If your toes are too far out, your knee will buckle in. If your your toes are too far in, your knee will buckle out. And so you want your foot to be lined up in a way that feels right. But if you notice your knee falling in or out, that's because the rotational alignment is probably a little out of whack. And if you're not sure walking on flat ground, one of the best ways to test it is to go up and down a few stairs. Then you'll really quickly find out as soon as you push off to lift yourself up the stairs, your knee will kind of go in or out, whatever way is more natural, depending on how your foot's configured. So with rotation, there's different types of systems. I've got a couple here. This one, my rotation is linked to the plate. And so I have to undo these 4 screws and rotate this whole thing up here because this leg it can't have a post. It's too tall. So when I do that, one of the handiest things to do before I start making changes is you take a Sharpie and mark on the plate and on the cylinder where it's aligned. And that way you know how far you've gone from where you originally started. And if you want to go back to where you were, you can see it and you don't have to guess and check. So that comes in really, really handy to make a mark with a Sharpie and adjust it like that. In my case, I'm kind of toed out. So I have to turn my toes just ever so slightly out so that it feels natural to me. The other rotational system is when you have a post like this. It's a little loose there. And you can do the same thing. You can use a Sharpie and just make a mark so you know where you originally started, and then it's easy to adjust either way from there or get back to your original starting place if you decide you don't like how it ended up. And then that's just a matter of loosening these two and then rotating. So you can also have some fun with this if you're really bored and really freak people out by like putting your foot on sideways or backwards. Can be a lot of fun. So I'm kind of kidding. And that's how you make rotational adjustments to this. So you can change a lot of different axes and angles. And then in this case, I have a pyramid adapter on the foot, which is connected here. And then there's a pyramid adapter from the top of the post to one spacer. And then that spacer goes up here. So I have 1, 2, 3 different pyramid adapters I can adjust on this foot. That's not always the case. That just happens to be how this foot is. So you have those adapters plus the rotation. And there's a lot of ways you can configure or unfortunately misconfigure your foot. But like I said, if you are in a place where you just don't have access to a prosthetist on the regular, and you're careful about making the marks so that you can get back to where you started if something's out of whack and you can't figure it out, using Loctite, using a torque wrench, and adjusting accordingly, it's doable. In my case, it's critical. I could never do all the things that I do and enjoy and get back to living life if I couldn't change feet and swap feet out for different activities. It wouldn't work for me. So adjust with care, take care of your leg, be careful. You get the hint. It's not as intimidating as it probably needs to be, but you definitely want to be cautious. So that's really pretty sure all we got today. Thanks for watching. I'm Garrett, and you've got this.